Yeah, well, sorry about this delay. Well, we thought that we had time. Yeah, we could have a longer break. So we are back. We are going now for 2 more talks. People is just sitting, so okay. 2 more talks. The next one, we were talking about people falling asleep because of the after lunch dip, but don't worry because I'm pretty sure that this talk is gonna be really interesting. If it's the same like or similar to the one in the Vue Day, it was, I have to admit, my favorite talk last year. I told you on Twitter, but I want to say now here in public. Yeah, Rubén is another well-known speaker in the Alicante Frontend Vue Day. He comes from Madrid, and he was here last year. He is also the guy behind the Vue.js Madrid, also a member of the Vue Spain thingy, that you probably will have some news soon, I don't know. And yeah, last year he was talking about Vuex, and now it's about reactivity. I'm really looking forward to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, Rubén Valseca.
Ahora. Okay. Now, can you hear me? Nice. Okay. Let's go. I know that this is gonna be quite hard because we just have a big lunch. The hamburger were, quite big. And first of all, yeah, because of this, I wanted to say that thank you for coming and not staying outside because you could be enjoying now the amazing weather here in Alicante. And thank you for coming with me to this talk where we're gonna try to answer how does Vue.js reactivity work, and we're gonna implement a reactivity system from scratch, trying to show how this magic behind Vue happens. So first of all, thank you. Who am I? Buenas tardes. This will mean like good evening. I'm Rubén Valseca. I work as a front-end developer at StyleSage. StyleSage is a company where we have a product, and we do like big data in the fashion industry. Quite awesome. We've been developing with Vue in production since 3 years almost ago, and well, you can also follow me at Rubén Valseca. And I'm also organizer of the FrontFest. How many people here know the FrontFest? Okay, for the people that don't know, it's a very nice event, what I can say, about frontend. I'm also organizer of Vue.js Madrid, and some time ago, also we are organizing Vue Spain that check the account of Vue Spain because we are going to organize online meetups for all the Spain community every 2 months. So all we can feel like one community here in Spain. And also I'm teaching on my free time on Ficticia. But yeah, about all, I'm a developer. And on StyleSage, we had this evolution. I think like many of you, right? We started with jQuery, that we only had jQuery on that time. Then migrate to AngularJS, And finally, as you can suppose, we land to Vue. But this was not very clear, like 3 years ago when we take this decision. And the situation that we found was something like this, right? I'm sure that many of you saw this. We have React on one hand, we have Angular on the other. I'm not going to say anything bad of both libraries and framework. They are awesome. If you are coding with them, congrats. But we didn't like the way we code in these libraries. And I don't know if how many of you see this film, Guns of New York. Okay, yeah, it's so great. I'm gonna do a little spoiler. Okay, but it now some years ago, because the situation ends something like this. Okay, we discover Vue, we fall in love completely with the framework, and since then we are here. And one of the main reasons that makes us fall in love with Vue was the reactivity system that was implemented like deep inside the library. Like all the library, it's around the reactivity. And yeah, as you may know, reactivity is awesome. But what is exactly reactivity or reactive? If we go to the definition, we find that reactive programming is a declarative programming paradigm concerned with data streams and the propagation of change. So everything is clear? Not really, right? If you see this for the first time, you first think like, what? Okay, let's try to see what they are saying. I know declarative usually is opposite of imperative, right? Also, data streams, I saw this before. I think that maybe on internet, I saw like a dog, no? Like, let's say everything is a stream. That is usually relate with a library that is called RxJS. So I think that better than a definition, we can see what is the mindset thinking about reactivity. Okay, so I think that now it's hard to think about a dinner after this huge lunch, but imagine tonight that you're going to have a dinner. And at first cost like 100 euros. Cool? It's easy, right? But this is usually not the what you pay. You finally pay the dinner plus the taxes. And if the waitress were good, you give him some tip. And also if you are 2 people having dinner, the total per person, you split them by 2, right? Nothing crazy here. And we as developers see this problem and say, okay, why not build like a dinner calculator where I can put this input and then have how much we have to pay. So usually, when you face this kind of problems, people think like with a mindset of basic programming. And what this means? This means like when the dinner changes, when you change the price of the dinner, you go and update the dinner taxes because you know that it depends of the dinner. And when this changes, you change the total, and also if the tip changes, and this, right? I'm not saying nothing crazy. This is the common approach with these kind of problems. Okay, so thinking about reactivity is just to do this. We have this problem, and we do this. Okay? And you may think, Rubén, you didn't do anything. You just changed the color of the of the arrows and put depend instead of update. But this is the mindset. Like, not think that you don't have to think that when you change the dinner, you have to change the dinner taxes. You just have to think about that the dinner taxes depends on the dinner, that the total depends on many other things. And when that thing changes, it will change automatically your values. Okay, good. I think that maybe I could understand this, but show me something, please. I'm gonna fall asleep, right? Okay, if we have this, we can develop a dinner calculator, right? Vue, we all love Vue because it's especially good doing managing this kind of things. Here I just have this index and CSS for the table and the app.js, okay? And the app.js. Here I have the template with the dinner, the buttons. This is the data of the dinner calculator, dinner price, tip, and total. And these are the methods, right? Update total, increment dinner price. Okay. So as can you see well, by the way, on the back? Yeah. As you may notice now, if you are used to develop with Vue, you will say, Rubén, you are updating the total every time that you change the tip. You are approaching this problem in a very imperative way. We all know that Vue is very good doing these things because we can just move this logic and create something that we call a computed property. Total. And now I can comment this and all of this. And it works perfectly, right? I didn't do anything crazy. Okay, but the first time that you see this, you think, how is this working? Like, how Vue does know that the total depends of the dinner price, that I change the dinner price and I have to calculate the total and then update the interface, like everything works like magically. So when we found this, and we go to the documentation, okay, we have a page that it says, okay, Vue, the reactivity in depth works like we have some getters and some data setters in the data, also a watcher around there that trigger a re-render, and then a component render function that ends with something called virtual DOM. Okay, but this is still not clear. So I hope to code something that could explain this better. Vue, the reactivity system, works with object-defined property. That is an API available on the browser since EX5. But the new version, as you may know, it comes with proxies. So because of the new versions come with proxies and the reactivity system it's regraded with proxies, I'm gonna do with a proxy. And what is a proxy? A proxy, we read it, we say the proxy object is used to define custom behavior for fundamental operations. Example, property lookup, assignment, enumeration, function invocation, etc. And yeah, you just write a proxy like this. Like the target is the object that we want to proxy, that we want to observe, and the handler, in the handler, it's an object where we define these operations. And we have many operations, all of this, but we are especially interested in these three, okay? That is the get, it says that it's a trap for getting property values, a set, trap for setting property values, and delete, a trap for delete operator. Okay, this is just when we make an assignment, we can trigger this trap put in the middle of the function. Okay, so to take this to the ground and see some code, what this could look like. Imagine that we define an object, just with a name and a surname, Rubén Valseca. We can define a get trap that if someone asks for the key full name, we return the object name plus the object surname. And in any other case, we just return the object in that key. Like works like a normal object. So now, if I do person.full name, it will return my full name. Okay, everything's clear until this moment. So let's go. You can find this demo on that link, so don't worry if you don't catch, and you can visit later. I'm gonna stop this. No, here, no. Okay, what do we have here is just an HTML, a CSS that are the same that before, but now we don't have Vue. We just have our own main script. And in the app.js, if we go there, we have a paint function with template strings that it looks pretty clear, where we are just painting the dinner price, the tip, and the total on the element with the ID app. And here we have these variables, dinner price, tip, and total, and a function to update the total every time that we want. So if we start to paint this, we have this, the calculator. Great, right? But I don't know if you noticed, but there is a bug there in my code. Can you realize what could be? I'm putting that the dinner is 100, the tip is 10 euros, and the total is 0. This is awesome. I'm not going to pay anything for the dinner. What is happening? That I defined the function update total, but I didn't call it, right? So I can just call here, and now it is okay. But this is pretty common, like to forget to update something, because we are humans, we can forget these kind of things. And I can perfectly put here tip equal to 20 instead of 10, and I will have the same bug, right? If I forget to update total, I will have to come here, update the total, and then paint it again. So we want that every time that we assign some new value, call the update total, because it depends directly to this value. So as I say, we can do this with the proxies. And because of a proxy, it relies on an object. First, what we have to do is just put this data on an object. This like this. And now const data. Okay, I change it here, so now I have to change it here, 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 here. Cool? It works like before. So we say that, okay, let's do a proxy. And now I'm going to rename this to data object. And now the new data, it's a proxy, where the target is the data, is the data object, I mean the object that we want to observe. And here we can put some handlers. Okay. If I leave it empty, everything works like before. Update total, paint. It's like a normal object, the data. But if we go here, it says like if a proxy, but we can still call the data, I don't know, dinner price, 100. Okay. So what we can do now is say, okay, you are assigning here the 20 to the tip. So I'm going to put a set trap. And this is going to call every time that I assign something to the data. So the first thing that we can do is just call update total. Right? So when I set something, I'm just going to update the total. Right? Cool? Okay. So if I do this, boom, we have an error. And it's one of my favorite errors because it's maximum call stack side exceed. This is like a callback hell. We end up we fall into nowhere. And why is happening this? Because when we assign something here, okay, we call update total, okay, this is right. And then in the update total, we assign again something to the total. So we are gonna call again update total, and then assign, and then update, assign, endless, right? So because of this, the set counts with the two parameters, object and key. And now we can filter and think, okay, I'm gonna do only this if the key is the tip. Right? Okay, we don't have this error anymore, but we don't have any value. The total is 0. Why this? This is because we are replacing the assign function. We are not assigning anything here. So when I try to assign something to the total, end is in nowhere and nothing's happened. So what I could do is just the object in the key, we put the new value that comes as a third argument. And perfect. Now, the data updated when I assign the tip here, and if I change the tip again to, I don't know, 50, and paint the interface, it is updated. Cool, right? But what is the problem with this code? Okay, what we are doing here, imagine that, okay, I'm changing the tip and you change the total. But what if I change the dinner price instead? I change it, paint, and the dinner update, but not the total. Why this? Well, because I'm only applying the update total when the key is tip. So what can we do? The easiest way, I think, that is just, okay, well, if I have to do also that, I'm gonna or condition, and now do it also if the key is the dinner price. So now I change the dinner price, and it is updated. Right? And also, well, I can write this if condition maybe in a better way. I could just write an object that say depends. And this object is gonna mimic like my data. So I have a tip. And for the tip, I just have to call the update total. And I have a dinner price. And when I change the dinner price, I call update total. So now I can replace this code with just object depends on key, on call depends on key. Right? So if I change the dinner price, everything's working as before. But we are putting here like this data, we do this action, and this data, this also action. But the same data could change many other actions. You can depend on TIFF on as many functions as you like. So maybe better than put here just the function, we can just put an array. And here, instead of call this, we can go for each, I don't know, func, well, callback. And call it, okay? Yeah, for each. And this works just like before. Great. But the thing here is that we still have to put these values in the code. So if for any case my total depends of a third variable, I have to also put the variable here and include it, right? And I have to maintain the redundant code because we are saying the same. With this should be enough to the code to know that this total only depends on dinner price and data type. So what we want to do is that we want to have this object, but dynamically. And how can we do that? Okay, instead of update total, I'm gonna put it more general function. I'm gonna say watching function, that start with null. I'm gonna comment this. And now when I go here, I set this watching function to the update total. Then I call the update total and put it the watching function to null again. Right? But why I'm doing this? Because now, when we execute the update total, I'm gonna call the getters of these keys, right? We can put this here, the getter, the object, and a key. And the default behavior will be just to return the object in the key position. Right? But when I'm going here, the watching function will be the update total, right? So I can say this, that if I have a watching function, then I could store in depends on the position key, make a push of the watching function. Right? So I put the watching function to the function, execute it. When I execute it, the getters are called. When I come here to the getter, I have a watching function, so I just store it here. And because it ends, it starts empty, I can check before that we have something there. Right? If I have nothing, I just put an empty array and then push my function. So now, if we see the depends object, we have the same that before. We have dinner price and tip, and with an array of, right now, update total. So this should work. If I put to 200, okay, I append it. Cool, right? Okay, so we have this interface with all this amount of code that you put it. You may think like, great, Rubén, way too much over-engineer, no, for such a simple behavior. So let's make some refactor. Okay, I can move this to the top. And create a new function that we call observe. Here and here. And now, instead of the data object is the data, and we return a new proxy. So with this function, we are gonna like observe this object. So here, instead of define like this the object, I can just do this, and it will work the same as before. The data tip. Okay. And here, what I'm really doing here is just set the watching function to the function that I'm gonna execute the function, and then put it to null. So what can we think that we are doing here is like watching this function. So I'm gonna write a function that called watcher, where I pass him a target function, and what we do is save the target, execute it, and put the watching function to null. So now, to do this, I can put this watcher on with the update total. And now even the update total lose the sense, because we don't really need to have a name for this function. It's just behavior. I pass to the watcher like an anonymous function, and everything works like before. Cool. So in the end, we just have this, an observe and a watcher. But we can go further. Okay? Why? Because we have usually two problems, that we have to update the total, and also, as you may notice, I have to go all the time, every time that I change, paint my interface. So why just not get this function that I call it paint? Instead of paint, maybe I can name it like render, and I can do the same. Just watch this function. So every time that dinner price, tip, or total change, I will update my interface. So now, as you may notice, I didn't call paint, and it painted. And when I change the dinner price, it updates the interface automagically. Okay, so with this, we can even go further, if we have buttons, I can just add here the buttons. And now with a pretty simple event system, get element by ID, I can get the app, add event listener, I have an event, and I call this function, and here I miss the click. Right? I can just copy the same methods as before. These are now my methods. And when I have an event here, so I can store const event.target attributes, and I go to the attribute that it's called click. Then my method name, it is in click attribute dot value. When I have the method name, I could have the method. And if I have a method, I can call it. And instead of this, I will say data. And this is not dinner price, this is tip. I missed copy paste. And now that when I change, I get the event, I capture, I get the name of the method, and execute it. This is going to change the total, this is going to update the interface. And everything with just this observe and watcher. It looks cool, right? Okay, so we did it with proxies. And as you may see, the global coverage for proxies are 91.53%. So it is everywhere. We can see that it's everywhere right now, except on the Internet Explorer, like as always. Thank you, Internet Explorer. And as you can see, the proxy it is something that intercept a very native operation in JavaScript, the assignment. So there is no way to polyfill this. There is no way to do the same if the browser doesn't support this. So because of this, in the future, if you want to still support Internet Explorer, we will have to still relieve on the object-defined property instead of using proxies. And with modern browsers, we can do a build with proxies. And with this, the proxies are going further because now I can detect additions of new keys that were not possible with Vue. And I can intercept the delete operation. So with this, we will just gonna say goodbye to Vue set and Vue delete, and everything's gonna be awesome. So at this point, I would love that every of us just embrace the reactivity and do reactive interfaces. If you are interested, you may have some of links here that I get to I read to make this talk. Thank you.
Hello again. I promised that you wouldn't fall asleep. That's what happened with this guy here. So, any questions for Rubén? Yes? Marina?
So I really like the fact that you don't have to load the whole Vue file for this using proxies, and you're performing, like the performance is increased because it's only like a couple of lines of Vue. And that's amazing. Like, actually, it's not a question, just.
Okay. Well, here is it's a little trick. Okay. This could not replace Vue in any way. Vue do so much stuff here, and if you pay attention here, we will have some problems, because this means that every time that we call the render function, we assign the all HTML to the inner HTML. So we are rewriting all the interface. This is where the virtual DOMs comes, that here, instead of replace all the HTML, we should create a new virtual DOM tree, compare with the old, so to just make the as possible changes possible. And we also here, if I put an input, I will lose the state of the input, because it's going to rewrite again some input. So this is just a proof of concept. But yeah, you can go. From here you can start to build awesome things too, and with proxies even more.
Any other questions? I think related to what you mentioned, I'm not sure, maybe you can, just my question here. I think Evan said something about releasing a Internet Explorer compatible version of Vue when Vue 3 is released, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because of this.
That's why.
That's why, right? So it's like Vue 3 will be rewritten to proxies, but then there will be a version compatible, backwards compatible with Explorer or something like that.
Yeah, in the build, I don't know exactly. Maybe some of the core team could answer you better.
Maybe
how
Eduardo can help us.
They're gonna do it. But yeah, suppose that in the build you could have a modern build with proxies, or a compatible build with different property.
Nice. So if there is no other questions, please give a super applause to this guy.